number one story should be what a representative just said that we can't deport these 18,000 terror suspects. I mean, they're actually on the terror watch list, and we allowed them to come here, the Biden administration. And like Joe Kent said, they're here to cause problems, and yet we can't do anything about them until they cause a problem or cause an act of terror. Is that not crazy? Wait till you hear this interview with Benny Johnson with Eli Crane, talking about why they can't deport them. Sadly, they should be able to. Sadly, we should have a Congress and a set of Republicans that are willing to stand up. But no, they have no backbone. They allow this former administration to rule over them even when they're not even in power anymore. We're going to discuss that story because it's absolutely crazy. Then we're going to talk about AmFest and how Ben Shapiro got a lot of applause dealing when he kind of hit on Candace and Tucker and some of their information. Tucker actually kind of literally talked about how great Muslims were at this event, and the crowd really didn't make any noise. We are in a very, very bad spot because we don't know who the face of the conservative movement is. And I think we need to get back to the roots of conservatism and traditional, Christian values. Where are we at? When we have infighting in the Republican Party, it makes us where we're actually weak and not strong at all. And then lastly, we're going to talk about movies. Now, Christian entertainment has done really well. However, it's been held down. Wait till you hear this new story about the movie David, dealing with David and Goliath, the Bible. Really the only Christian movie that came out with Angel Studios this year for the Christmas season. It's being held down. And this Netflix, Paramount situation, the fact of the big buyout, what we're seeing with that plus Disney is they're trying to overwhelm the Christian movie market. We're going to discuss that and how we have to realize persecution on Christians is everywhere. We got to quit acting like it's not and putting our proverbial head in the sand. Let's dive into these stories today and so many more. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. We're humbled each and every day that you come by. Our goal is to give information to you to hopefully say, you know what, that makes sense. Let's be wise, let's get common sense again, and let's find traditionalism back in America and conservatism back in America. That's what we need, and sadly we are losing every day. And that's kind of what one of the stories are about with Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and AmFest that went on dealing with Charlie Kirk. So we'll discuss that. But first let's jump into what Eli Crane just told Benny Johnson, because I think it's a huge story, and it kind of goes right into the dangers of what Tucker Carlson was saying, because I think Tucker Carlson's lost his way, like Candace Owens. But anyways, we'll go to that story. First, let's go to what Eli Crane just said. GOP congressman reveals we cannot, listen to me, we cannot deport terror and these terrorists until they commit crimes. The threat is worse than we reported because Americans have to die or have to get harmed before we deport them. That is bold and unbelievable. Eli Crane said 18,000 terrorists are just here, and that's what we know of. We absolutely know these are on the terror watch list. This is what Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent has exposed, to where these people were on the terror watch list and we still allowed them in. Biden administration still allowed them in. Remember, we're building sleeper cells in America. It's unbelievable that we have not understood this. And the people like the Tucker Carlsons, the Myron Gaines, all these people that are on the Islam sympathizing side of the conservatism, what you're actually seeing is you're going to see these sleeper cells wake one day, and all of a sudden infiltration in America is going to be unbelievable, and these little spots of terror are going to happen to where it's going to make an overwhelmingly terror attack on America. It's going to happen in American soul. But listen to this. It says, these 18,000 terrorists are not just here, and they're not just those people. It's just these are the ones we know of. It says the way the Biden administration wrote this up is we cannot even get rid of the 18,000 that we know are on the terror watch list, and they orchestrated this invasion until they commit crime. He said under the law, the way they wrote it up is that they claimed to be asylum seekers, and actually what they were on the terror watch list. In most cases, we can't even remove them until a crime is committed, until they actually harm America or American soul. This should be the #1 story in America right now, and no one talks about it, and we're going to let Americans die death by truly Democrats because they've allowed these people in. They knew what the situation was, and they wrote laws to help them stay here illegally. Come on, people. What are we doing? No one is talking about these kind of stories. And when conservatives like me talk about it, everybody gets all over us because they think this is a religion of peace. It's not of peace. I mean, listen to these stories. Jihad is a part of Islam. It is an integral part of Islam. We will enter every home in America and we will take over America. The infidels will convert or they will die. But America will be under all Islam. That is from an Islamic cleric in Texas. Here's another one. If you're watching this, then you know we will rule over you. That is from an Islamic cleric in Michigan. They're saying the quiet parts out loud. I want you to listen to another gentleman. He was being interviewed by Nick Sorter. Nick Sorter, again, he's a guy that's kind of going on the streets interviewing. He says, the Muslim leader, will you obey the laws of the land? Listen to what he says. He says, yes, we'll obey the laws of the land. And he said, will you obey the American law of the land? And he says this. He said, no, if it's not Islamic, it's not for us to obey the laws of the land. We respect the law of the land. However, we do not obey the law of the land unless it is Islamic. We will go with Islamic law of the land, meaning Sharia law, meaning they will do their own laws based on what they believe, and they're not going to follow the laws of the land dealing with the U.S. Why have we allowed Minnesota and Michigan, now Texas, Florida, and now we see places like Oklahoma just had a major problem yesterday in Tulsa about a Muslim temple being built. We see the situation in New York City. What are we doing? We're allowing for this infiltration to take place. And just like Eli Crane said, because we don't have enough strong conservative people to actually step over this law and find the legality to get rid of these people, we have to let them commit crimes to harm Americans, to make Americans suffer, ultimately to deport them. And then when this attack happens, the Democrats are going to blame Trump for it, for the rhetoric that he's caused. And all the while, they're the ones that brought him here, that's left him here, and that Republicans are too weak to even try to get him back out. It's amazing to me we're allowing this to take place. We're allowing this to take place, and no one is talking about the fact that we can't even get rid of the people that are here that are quote-unquote asylum seekers, and they're on the known terror watch list for America. Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent, who were over intelligence, literally stated they named 18,000 people of the millions we've allowed in that are on the terror watch list for our own government, and the Democrats allowed them in, the Republicans are allowing them to stay, and no one will deport them until they commit a crime. What is going on? I mean, we saw, 3 or 4 days ago, California shooting at a Hanukkah celebration. We saw the situation at Brown University where they killed a Christian conservative and then went to, now has been proven by the police, which they're saying alleged, but to be honest with you, they're saying the same guy who now looks like he committed suicide. He ended up going to the MIT home 40 miles away and did the same thing to the Jewish guy over the fusion nuclear studies at MIT. Again, attacks on Christians and Jews are going to keep on happening because this religion does not see fit to keep them alive. They're going to infiltrate more of American soul, and therefore one day we're going to wake up and you're going to say attack here, attack here, attack here, attack here, attack here, and it's going to make it where it's just going to be a bold attack on America. And they're going to blame the Republicans or blame the conservatives or blame Trump because ultimately his rhetoric caused it, and that is a bold-faced lie. Is the fact that we've allowed these people to stay here and now we cannot get them out. And Eli Crane is bringing that up. Now the sad thing is we have about 4 or 5 great congressmen. We may have 2 or 3 great congressmen. And all the rest of these guys could care less about any of it. They're just wanting to make tons of money off their lobbying firms. Because remember, I mean, if you're getting filthy rich and you're going to be looking down at those peasants, you can do what you want to do. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's walking back rich, rich, rich. $30-something million she's netted. Ilhan Omar on the other side, $20 or $30 million she's netted, and they don't care. Why would they care about someone that's living paycheck to paycheck when they have $30 million that they've made in the last 4 to 5 years? Think about that. That's Republican and Democrat. That shows that it's just all one big Ponzi, truthfully. Now let's go to what Tucker said, because this is what matters when we're going to talk about what Ben said and what Tucker said. And you tell me what's representing the conservatives, because this is when we're weak, because we have no face anymore. After Charlie, what happened? Instead of making a ton of more Charlies and a revival starting, we imploded as a party. The Democrats got just what they wanted. Listen to what Tucker just said. Before we go to what Tucker said, a word from today's sponsor. I wanted to try it just to say, is when, our phone's listening to us, the information that we put on there, how dangerous is it for us? Are we actually compromised? So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Google, and I'm just going to Google one of my sister's names. So I typed in her name. All of a sudden, I started realizing my oldest sister's old address from 4 years ago was on there. Our home phone number was listed on there from when I was a kid. Not only that, it gave emails. It gave all this information. So I called her and I said, do you realize I can get all this information, probably take out a few credit cards, open new accounts? It blew her mind. I want you to try this too. I want you to go and just Google one of your family members' names. Not to be a creeper or anything, but I want you to just test my theory. Go out there and just Google. It will blow your mind at what you can find out about your family members. The sad thing about when you search, a lot of this information, a lot of these websites, a lot of the places that you go are ran by data brokers. They're getting your information, and guess what? They're sharing it with people who are not the most reputable, maybe even on the dark web. From scammers to spammers, none of these people are actually looking out for your well-being and your information. Now, here's the thing. They're not legally able to have your information if you tell them to take your information off. But I'll be honest with you. If you start looking online, you realize how many people have your information. It's almost impossible for you to go to all these companies and say, please, take my information off your sites. See, that's the benefit of my sponsor today, Aura. Aura comes alongside you. They work to do just that, to take your information away from being vulnerable, away from being compromised, from the people that want to scam you and spam you all the time. Aura identifies all the data brokers that are getting your information, and they give an opt-out clause, meaning they cannot legally have your information anymore. It's kind of like having a house and having doors and having locks and never locking the door. Aura allows you to lock the door. Give Aura just a few weeks. I promise you what you're going to see is your information is going to start being yours again. You're going to realize the spammers and scammers are going to stop. Aura also continuously monitors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're going to make sure they let you know if it is. Also, they have a world-class VPN to keep you safe as you search the internet. Do not miss out on this opportunity to utilize Aura to benefit you and your family's safety online. Remember, let's lock the door. You can go to my link below, aura.com/themacs. It's in the description. When you click on that, you're getting a 14-day free trial. In that 14 days, you're going to realize all the benefits of what they're doing. They're going to opt your information out from being vulnerable and compromised. Check out Aura today, aura.com/themacs. Do not miss out on this opportunity to have this free trial along with your safety. This is from a guy named Bosch Faustin. It says, fresh from his most recent visit to the beloved Qatar, Tucker Carlson comes out and states that America should not attack Muslims. Muslims are just the silent, and they're the ones that are representing more of America than the Jews. Basically, he's stating that we should, as Americans, accept this Muslim population. Now, let's go back. It says, Tucker states, they're trying to turn you against Muslims, but Muslims are good people. They're just regular Americans. Now, let's go back to what the two Muslim clerics said that we were just talking about. One, jihad is part of Islam, is an integral part of Islam, and we will enter every home in America and we will take over America. The infidels and converts will perish, but America will be under Islamic law. Does that sound like good American people? No, not too much. It doesn't sound like they're wanting to assimilate. The other one talking about how he will only stand up for Sharia law, not American law. So why does Tucker say this? And what's so crazy, again, top 10 terror groups in the world right now are all Islamic faith. Go do your research. Just type in, Google it, Grok it, ChatGPT it, top 10 terror groups in America or in the world that causes harm to the world population. Every one of them are Islamic groups. Top 40 last terror attacks, research it. All of them Islamic groups. I mean, we got to quit sympathizing with these groups of individuals. Because I'm getting more and more perturbed at the people like Tucker Carlson, who has a conservative platform and is using it to sympathize for Muslims. What it is, here's the thing. Tucker may be a conservative. Tucker may be a Trump supporter. Tucker may love America, but he literally despises the Jewish state and Netanyahu more than he loves America. So therefore, he's willing to throw them under the bus and sympathize with the Muslims because it's almost like they have the same enemy. And it's so sad to me. It's so heartbreaking that we're losing our conservative base and we're splitting it and making it a weak thing. It's kind of like the church. When the church had power, it's because we stood united behind Jesus. Well, then you started building all these different religions, all these different facets. Everybody, says, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So the Protestant faith has just been busted up to where it has no power anymore because they're infighting. They're infighting. That's exactly what's happening with the conservative movement. Charlie was the coalition that held it together. He held it together. The glue that just said, you know what, we're working for one goal, and that's to elect conservatives. We're working for one goal, even though we might not get along with everything, we get along with these things. And man, we have lost our way. Tucker is on the stage at AmFest telling you to sympathize with Muslims and just to welcome them. Now, what about the ones that Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard and Trump is talking about? What about the Somalis? I mean, it's funny how Tucker will do a Somalia video and how they're not special and hadn't helped anything in Minnesota, but those are Muslim people that he's talking about. But then he comes on and talks about how great Qatar is, that just honored the Hamas leader, in complete, utter dismay to Americans and Israelis. It's just unbelievable to me. Let's keep on going. I want to talk about what Ben just said. This is from a guy named Ryan. It says, Ben Shapiro just went scorched earth at TPUSA, talking about the frauds and grifters and the charlatans such as Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. He blasts Megyn Kelly for her cowardice as she's refusing to stand up against truth and not condemn Candace. Now here's the thing. It's sad that we're looking to Ben Shapiro, who is probably a little bit more establishment, a Jew that's not even a Christian, to help us on moral standing. That's unbelievable to me. It's amazing that we don't have a true Christian conservative in this fight. I feel like we have this Episcopalian who's a Qatari, person, and we have Candace Owens who's absolutely lost her mind. And then we have people like Ben Shapiro, who I like Ben. I'm not crazy about him. I don't listen to his show. He speaks a little too fast for me, and sometimes he's kind of off basis to me. Because again, as a Christian, I believe that we should have a Christian leader in the conservative movement, kind of like another Charlie. But we've lost our way. And it's sad that we have this infighting, and it's happening at AmFest. That would have probably never happened during Charlie's rule. It would have never happened to where they get on stage and literally cut each other down at the same event. But we're at that point where the infighting is happening, and between Candace Tucker and even the conservatives, we're ripping down the one thing that kept us all together and strong, which was Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's movement. And we're destroying it, which is ultimately causing for the dismay of not having true conservatism pushed around our states. We don't realize how important this movement was. And now we see the conservatives are tearing it down. I mean, what's amazing to me, Candace actually come out against Ben and stated how worthless he was and how he's made his whole life about Charlie. What? Candace went one day without talking about Charlie. And it's amazing how, if Candace was right, why is Candace not the one speaking at TPUSA, and why is Ben speaking at TPUSA? You see, this is what is unbelievable to me. And this is what scares me about TPUSA, because I think they're in the same boat. They're kind of like Heritage, is they don't know how to balance this fence. Charlie was good at it, but TPUSA is struggling because they're like, well, do we support this person, Tucker and Megyn on one side, or do we support, Ben Shapiro and things like that? Guess who was kicked out of TPUSA? Guess who was kicked out of Turning Point's event, the AmFest? Myron Gaines, dear friend of Candace Owens, who is a Muslim who believes that the Jewish and Christian faith is not the way forward. Is this the new face of conservatism, to where we take the Christianity part out of it, the religious part out of it, and make it just about America first, that's so secular that all it is just basically the new liberal ideology that's in a conservative fiscal position? We're destroying the conservative movement. We're destroying the conservative movement. Now, people like me, I wish I had a bigger voice. I wish people like Benny Johnson had a bigger voice, and he does have a big voice. But, when we try to compete against people like Tucker and Candace, I'm scared that we're going to lose audiences. Nick Fuentes came out against the family yesterday. Came out against men and the family yesterday. Says it's wrong to push for husband-wife relationships and family relationships. And that's supposed to be the conservative leadership. I'm scared to say what's going to happen over the next few years. And I'm scared to see where the church lost its value and lost its power when it came to politics. I think you're going to see the conservative movement lose its power too. And the fight is actually going to be between the rhinos and the what they will call themselves Christians and call themselves conservatives, but they're not. It's the the Lindsey Grahams and all that group that's just like the neocons. And then you'll have this America First non-Christian movement led by the people like the Tucker Carlsons, Thomas Massey's, Candace Owens, and Myron Gaines, and Nick Fuentes. Do they have good points? Does both sides make some decent points sometimes? Yes. But we've lost the one thing that actually kept us together, was our faith, our traditional values, and conservatism as a whole. It's gone. And I'm scared when Trump is not on the ballot. I'm scared when Trump is not on the ballot. People are going to vote, and then all of a sudden you're going to have Democrats win. And Democrats are going to take over, and then you're going to become what Europe and Canada has become. All right, last story, and a lot of people are not talking about this, but if you know this big Paramount situation and Netflix, and they're fighting over Warner Brothers and all that, that's a big deal. People don't realize it because when you take those groups of movie providers or stream providers, it pretty much is most of the market. And if they can bend the audiences to watch narratives and propaganda, then they can bend people and mold children to be what they want them to be. When you take Disney, Paramount, which is a big provider, Netflix, of course, which is went extreme liberal, and then you take in Warner Brothers, which is the old school cartoons. If they buy that, then what becomes of just normal fun cartoons? What comes of normal TV without some kind of leftist bend? Well, that's exactly what's happening. And what you're seeing now is a team up. Listen to this. It says Disney and Paramount are allegedly using their connections with theaters to keep David from being offered during Christmas. It says they're allegedly trying to put in the Zootopias, the Avatars, the SpongeBobs, and take away from Angel Studios' David. David is the only Christian film that's going to be put out around Christmas that deals with the true biblical basis of Christianity. And it says what you're seeing is the bigger these conglomerates get, the more power they get, the more they can harm the Christian movies and the Christian movement. Now, I want to wrap this up. Do you need to go see David? Do you need to go support that? Do you need to support Angel Studios? Yes, all that's good. We're VidAngel supporters. So Angel Studios have this app called VidAngel where you can watch movies without the bad content and all that. It's a great thing. But there's a bigger problem. When we've allowed for infiltration on American soil that we talked about with Eli Crane at first. We talk about there's no leadership in the conservative movement and we're sympathizing for Muslim converts and Muslim Americans. And then all of a sudden you see the biggest movie providers that are trying to hold down the Christian movies and get them out of the theaters. What you're seeing is just a basic fight against conservative Christianity. That's what all these stories really relate to. It's time for a revival, and it's time for Christians to stand up. Wake up to what is being given to you from not only liberals, not only leftists, not only news media, but even from our own party. They're influencing you in the wrong ways. And now, like cartoons, I have no problem with some Disney cartoons and Paramount cartoons and Warner Brothers or Nickelodeon. I mean, there's some great little content on there for kids that does not push this leftist ideology. However, the more power they get, the more they're going to push leftist ideology. Name one series or season of movie that went through the 2020s or the 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 that didn't deal with some kind of leftist push of orientation or gender or something like that. And it's made it where it's just normal now. See, that's how they do it, slowly. With all of a sudden, these biggest cartoon providers, these biggest kids animation providers are all in bed together against Christian conservatism, and everything they push is leftist ideology. What is it going to do? Along with the school system that's destroyed, along with the fact of father and mother in homes fighting or infighting or having problems with financials or not being able to be parents because, it's hard and the marriages are not what they're supposed to be. Those kids will grow up thinking that is normal. That not liking Christianity and conservatism is normal. That supporting leftist ideology is normal. Look at what it's done. You don't believe it? Look how socialism and communism and leftism has grown in the college sector and in the high schools and with the teachers and with the movies, because it's that easy propaganda. And we had a voice. We had conservatism standing against it. Well, we don't have that anymore. The church was standing against it. Well, we don't really have that church strength anymore, because you have people like Candace Owens who are tearing down Jack Hibbs and Franklin Graham. We have Tucker Carlson tearing down Mike Huckabee. So we're losing even the faith movement. This push against David and Goliath, it has nothing to do with the David story. It has to do with just conservatism and Christianity, period. The infiltration that we've allowed, that Biden allowed, is against conservative Christianity. The fact that we've allowed for people like Myron Gaines and Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson to have platforms, I'm fine with them having platforms, but don't call them conservatives. Call them for what they are. They're just liberals that need a home, that they don't believe in the democratic way. They may have been Trump supporters at one time, but they're not Christian conservatives. They're not conservatives. They shouldn't speak for the conservative movement. And we should not allow them to be at AmFest spewing garbage and hate against the conservative, religious, Christian movements that they've pretty much done. We've got to wake up. One of two things are going to happen. Revival will break out in America. It's going to take a valley, a very bad valley, and then revival will break out. Or reset will happen. And that reset will be utter control, loss of Christian values, persecution of the church, and ultimately becoming the way of the world like we're seeing now. One of two ways. Which way is that going to be? Both of them probably are hard roads, but the thing is, we need revival. And if we're not willing to humble ourselves, I'm scared God is going to humble us. And it may be using one of these things that we talked about today. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. God bless.